Okay, let's get to a couple outfielders here, because there's actually a couple guys in this group that I'm excited about in terms of soft buying, in terms of not giving up a bunch of prospects but still making your roster better for 2024. I used this guy as an example a couple podcasts ago as somebody they could have gone out and signed this offseason in terms of making the offense better. Well, now they could go trade for this guy, Harrison Bader. If you don't want to give up what the Mets are going to ask for Pete Alonso, if you don't think the Mets end up trading Pete Alonso, if the Mets don't start winning, they're going to trade some guys. And Harrison Bader, another rental. He's got 6 homers, WRC plus of 107. Doesn't strike out a ton, about 21% of the time. Free agent at the end of the year. And he's a good defender.
And a right-handed hitter.
Makes some sense. And a right-handed hitter. Like, would that not be, if you were to replace Mitch Haniger, is that not a seamless fit?
Seems pretty seamless to me. That's an option. I like Randall Grichuk, too. The Diamondbacks. Put him on a plane with Sewald and Christian Walker. Right-handed hitter. 126 WRC plus. He's a mutual option after the season, so if you don't want him, don't have to keep him. And the Diamondbacks can't really charge that much. He's a vet, too. So you pair those 3 in that trade package, bullpen arm, first baseman, right-handed hitting outfielder who's been pretty good this year. It would be an enormous upgrade over Mitch Haniger offensively. Solves a lot of your problems, too. So him and Bader feel like 2 pretty good and pretty cheap options. We just need to be contingent on them falling out of the National League wildcard race.
And it's starting to happen a little bit more. Maybe not as much with the Diamondbacks yet, but now finally you're starting to see some separation in that NL wildcard race. First off, the team in the 3rd spot is no longer a sub-500 team. The Cardinals have figured some things out. And you're starting to see some separation with other teams. Like the Cubs are starting to fall out of it a little bit. Pirates are like 4.5 out. Nationals are starting to lose some ground, which we'll get to a Nationals guy here in a second. But same thing. Like the Mets had that great June. They had their grimmest June. But now in July, they haven't gotten off to as hot of a start. So we'll see what they look like at the deadline. But if they're not in the race, if they're 5 out at the deadline and they're not above 500, that's in the seller's boat. Even if you're 5 out, maybe you're 4 out, but you're still 2 or 3 under 500, that doesn't feel like a playoff team. So that feels like a situation where Harrison Bader could get traded. And speaking of teams that are starting to fall out of it, I just mentioned the Nationals. Lane Thomas. He's another. He's got 1.5 years of control. So you'd have him for next year too. He's right at a 100 WRC plus, which I know is by definition league average, but let's say it again. It'd be a 17 to 18% upgrade for Mitch Haniger and almost a full WAR of an upgrade better. Because Mitch Haniger is almost at -1. To be exact, he's at -0.7. Lane Thomas is at 0.6. It's a full win you get by getting Lane Thomas. And he fluctuates a little bit. He could easily get up to 105. 105 from 100 only takes a couple games. So, has 8 homers on the year. Doesn't strike out a ton. Just seems like another guy that could make some sense. Right-handed bat, too.
If Jesse Winker was never a Mariner, wouldn't we be pounding the table right now?
Oh, God. Probably.
I'm serious. We would be.
Probably. Yeah.
This dude is on a career resurgence right now. He would be everything you'd want offensive. The only thing you'd want is him to hit right-handed. Otherwise, be like, that's the dude right there.
But is he going to play the outfield?
We would have no idea. We just know he had a reputation as a terrible defender. But we've listed some terrible defenders and some suggestions here.
Yeah, it's true. Although if you were going to go get a left-handed hitting bat, I have a guy I like better. And honestly, of all these guys, might be the one I like the best. It's Michael Conforto, Seattle native. He's got a 114 WRC plus. He's got 10 bombs. Another rental. Free agent at the end of the year. I think that one makes a lot of sense. And by the way, his splits aren't that drastic. He can hit both lefties and righties. I love that option. I think it would be seamless. I think it would, this doesn't play into trades, but I think the fan base would be fired up by it. You got a Seattle native coming to a team that's contending for a playoff spot and going to try to make a run. And he's been a very productive hitter who you are not tied to after this year. I like that idea a lot.
And he's already had to hit in a pitcher's park. Won't have to be as much of an adjustment. He already plays at a park that is legitimately sitting on the water with dense air. And he'd go to another one.
His whole career has been pitcher's parks. He played at Citi Field, which is a pitcher's park, and then he's played in San Francisco.
So I like that.
I like
Works
it a
out.
lot. So
that one makes more sense as a left-handed hitter because Jesse Winker's been a Mariner. Now, Michael Conforto at this point of his career is not a unbelievable defender. He's not in his prime.
No, I think he's about a -2 outs above average guy. So not great, but Mitch Haniger's also been one of the worst defenders in baseball this year. So it's still an upgrade.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Upgrade in every sense of the way. So if you pick any combination of these guys we just listed off, I think this would have a chance to make a really significant impact on this Mariners team. And it could look totally different come August 1st. And you could play 2 good months and win a weak AL West. That's what you need to do. You need to win the worst division in baseball. Can you do it? I think with those group of players and the pitching staff continuing to do what it does, I think you can do it. How long can the Mariners afford to wait? After the draft? Like, once the draft's over, then Jerry starts hammering the phones for rentals.
You have to. And I know Jerry's never been one to trade for rentals, but this feels like the year. Get into the playoffs. Give yourself a chance. Give this rotation a chance. And then this offseason, you regroup, you reset, you figure out the long-term pieces you need moving forward. But you are in first place right now. If you don't want to give up your blue chip prospects, fine. I'm not crazy about the idea of giving up Emerson or Felnine or Lazaro Montes or a lot of these guys. And fine, don't. But let me ask people this. I've said this offense needs an overhaul. It does. Because, like that's the other part of this. One bat can't save you. Luis Robert cannot save you. That's one guy. You need multiple. So, let me ask fans this. If this deadline were to end, and you had the additions of Christian Walker, Paul Sewald, Brandon Lau, and Michael Conforto, that's the combination I'd pick, how would you feel? Because I'll tell you how I'd feel. I'd say you just got 3 significant upgrades in your offense, a back-end bullpen guy, and you had to give up none of your blue chip prospects. I would walk away from that deadline saying, awesome, let's go.
And if the offense still can't figure it out, then you're not a playoff team anyways. And you didn't mortgage your future to find out that reality. Because the worst thing that happens is if you get in a bidding war for Vladdy or Lubob, and you get to the deadline, you swing the trade, and you realize, oh, this team actually is not a playoff team. Don't deserve to make the playoffs. And then you just gave up what could be potentially a future superstar in return. Or you could spend all that time negotiating, deals fall through, and you don't get anyone. And you're left empty-handed at the deadline. And then people will be pissed. And then this team won't make the playoffs, so that's the case. They can't score enough runs to do that.
Now, let's say this, too. Because all of those moves would be great. If you went somewhere down that path, and just to use my example, that was your deadline. You got Walker, you got Sewald, you got Brandon Lau, you got Michael Conforto. That'd be great. It is still, however, contingent on the guys you absolutely rely on this team to turn things around. Because not everybody in this lineup is going to turn it around. That's why there's going to be some guys that get moved on from. But I would say the big 3, Julio, Cal, JP, those 3 have to turn it around. Because you're not going anywhere in terms of shying away from those guys. They're going to be here, and they should be here. And they have to do more than they're doing right now, all 3 of them. So to bring those other guys in would be awesome, but it has to be paired with those 3 getting going.
Out of all the guys we just listed, I want you guys in the comment section, either on YouTube, you can shoot us a DM, leave us a comment, however you think about it. What combination of those guys would you acquire that you think would give this team the facelift it needs to make the playoffs? Whatever combination you need, drop us a comment on YouTube, send us a DM, Instagram, you try on Twitter, or reply to one of our tweets with the combination you want. Let us know. We're interested to know.